Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to continue on with this week's theme of beautiful music, exploring songs that you would mostly use positive words to describe. Gorgeous, pleasant, lovely. Somehow we're kind of 50-50 on that this week, but what we're going to check out today is some The Deer Hunter, which my man Casey is behind and never fails me in this regard. I'm super stoked for this, even if it ends up not being a totally beautiful track somehow. We're going to check out the song Tripping in Triplets, that's a fantastic title. I can't wait to get into this. So, why wait at all? Let's dive straight into it, see what the Deer Hunter is bringing to the table today. I was expecting groups of three. I got groups of three.
There must be something that keeps me awake, or some kind of pill.
Sounds like we have Aguero off on the side.
Break these bad habits.
Oh, it's not coming back. Music box though.
If I said that this didn't get tough, two left feet on the floor in a waltz at an odd tempo. Am I stuck at the ankle or caught at the knee? A curious puzzle still cursing me to follow or lead. You gave me a heart and then taught me to hurt. I can't tell just which option is worse, dying pure or rare. So these feet keep on tripping in triplets to beats, too far off for my ears to reach just a hint of timing. Am I stuck at the ankle or caught at the knee? A curious puzzle still cursing me to follow or lead.
Those really hard strums on the guitar, they come across as rather sharp and compressed. Beautiful string stuff on the outside, so. I'm glad everything came together here. And the tambourine. Okay. I'm going to assume some sort of transition into the next track. Oh, no, just... Okay, the ending was for itself. Yeah, I quite enjoyed that. I was a little concerned at the beginning but it ended up leading to an excellent part. Not a lot going on here though. It's a single idea track. That's definitely the right order of those words. Nothing really changes from start to finish, but we do have some subtle growth I need to talk about. I mean, here's what it is, man. It's a guitar and a vocal ballad. It almost sounds like a lullaby. The softness of the vocals, the melodies that they go through. It's very soothing, very calming, as if you're trying to put someone asleep. It's nice. Paired with this is this super high reverb guitar. Very trebly too. There was actually a point where the production, I had mentioned that when we got to those really chunky full chord strums, I was like, dude, this is like a very big, compressed but sharp sound. I thought it was a little abrasive for everything else going on around it. The way everything else sounded, this stood out so much. That's honestly the only part that I think it really stood out on. Everything else about the guitar was very soft and subtle, the high reverb. I do kind of wish the production on this was a little different, but I'm going to assume that the production for the entirety of the song is for a reason. I'm going to come to that later. While these two instruments are going off, though, there's other things happening on the outskirts. I heard a guero for a little bit, which is just like a ribbed piece of wood that you would run a stick over, and as it hit all the grooves in the ribbing, it creates like a really like quick rhythmic sound. That's terrible though. There's too much air in there. Why would I make that sound? That's a terrible guero impersonation. Anyways, we heard that a little bit at the beginning. There was also a lot of music box sound, just seemingly random music box notes, as if the music box itself is going slowly, or at least slower than the song's tempo, and it's not really in line with anything else that the song is doing. It's just this illusion of a music box that sits on the outskirts of this song. So we have that, and then we had some tambourine in there, and eventually, I think it was the second verse, when we brought in the string section. And that gave us a really beautiful chord progression that went alongside the vocals, it went alongside the guitar work. And that's pretty much the entirety of the song. Really gorgeous, lovely melodies, kind of sink into all of it. And it's, this focused idea with a couple of auxiliary things around it. What I think is more important than the composition, though, is the production. It's very treble based. It's very compressed. What's being played reminds me of a style of music that was big around the 50s, maybe. If I knew what style it was that this reminded me of, I think I'd be able to give you a more accurate time frame of when it was popular. But for the life of me, like I've heard stuff like this, I can't place it. I don't know if that's because it's alluding to that style, but still doing something modern, or if it's just because I'm blanking out on it, which happens. But what I find is interesting is that compositionally, this reminds me of older times. But also sonically, too, the treble focus, the high compression, especially when you listen to the vocals. The song itself is highly compressed, too, but each of the instruments tends to have a bit of compression, and the vocals almost sound like they're coming out of an old-timey radio. That with the treble focus as well, a lack of bassiness to it, the entire song feels dated in a lot of ways, but it also feels elevated. It somehow, if music could be represented visually, this feels like something that would be sepia tone, but it also feels dreamlike in a lot of ways. And most of this comes from the production, not from the composition. And that's what I was saying. I kind of wish that the production on this were higher fidelity, more modern, had some bassiness at all. I think that the high treble and high amount of compression is a little off-putting for me, honestly. I eventually warmed up to it and heard past it in order to, really enjoy what the song is doing compositionally, but it is a bit of a distracting element. But the thing with the Deer Hunter is that their songs tend to be story driven. And I'm going to assume that this song is a dream sequence or a flashback or something like that. And that's why it's exploring these sounds and styles and textures and production. But there's also the ending, and I would be remiss not to bring this up. I had mentioned that the music box kind of didn't really make sense when it was first introduced. It was just these random notes rhythmically out of time with everything else. At the end of the song, though, once we bring in the strings that sit around our guitar and vocals, we have some tambourine in there. Well, no, the tambourine was at the very end of this section. We have the music box on the outskirts again, but it's not quite as prominent because there's more things. We don't have so much space anymore that the music box is attention grabbing. It kind of gets drowned out by the violins a little bit and feels like a twinkling that surrounds the song. I honestly thought this was some sort of bells, maybe a glockenspiel possibly, and it wasn't until the song was winding down and I realized, oh snap, dude, it's the music box. It doesn't need to be in time here. It makes sense in this new context because it's this cool little texture. When you look up at the stars at night and some shine a little brighter than others at times, it's not trying to be musical. They're not going in a visual pattern. The beauty is the semi-randomness of it. And having these very sharp metallic hits on either side, sort of bouncing around, not in any set pattern, not to the rhythm of the music, just existing out there. It's a beautiful texture to add to this. That's what I mentioned. It was all coming together. I loved that detail there. The music box to me means something different the first time we hear it and the second time we hear it. I don't know particularly what they are, but the first time certainly seems out of place, and the second time is a perfect addition to the painting that's already being presented. It is that beautiful extra detail. And for one thing to represent two different things because of context, that's the type of writing I love to go on about. That's the type of stuff I love to hear. It's the type of stuff I love to write. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. But I don't really have anything else to add to this. I mean, like I said, it's a short track. It does its one thing and then it's done. Aside from the outro, the true outro, which I don't know what that's supposed to represent. I mean, we have like a 3-minute song, a little over, like 15 seconds over, and it's all just one idea. So let me hit some lyrics on this, see what's going on there. All right. This is an older track from the Deer Hunter, but it doesn't come from one of the acts. It comes from the color spectrum. So is there any story to go with this? Is there a narrative component to it? I don't know. Like I said, I thought this would be some sort of dream sequence or flashback to something. The music really alludes to that, but lyrically has nothing to do with that at all. It is about generally being caught up in uncertainty, which I think you could apply to the song. But I don't think this has anything to do with the larger narrative. I think it's a self-contained track. I don't know. Y'all will have to let me know about the color spectrum if that is another concept album, even though I don't think it's part of the 5 acts. So, I don't know. Anyways, verse 1 Says there must be something that keeps me awake or some kind of pill I can take to break these bad habits. So our narrator is someone who continues to do the wrong things, know they're wrong, but doesn't have the willpower to stop doing them. Says, I'd lie if I said this didn't get tough. Two left feet on the floor in a waltz at an odd tempo. And I really like this idea. We have the title, Tripping in Triplets. One thing about triplets is that it's groups of three. They don't divide symmetrically. The group of three is the pulse, usually in a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, which is more or less how it's emphasized here as well, though occasionally we will have an emphasis on the 3 as well, especially on the vocal line. A waltz is a dance in 3/4, but he says he has two left feet. So he's kind of tripping through this song, tripping in the triplets. Yeah, 3 beats, 3/4. He says, but it's not just that he has two left feet on the dance floor, which regardless of the dance, having two left feet is typically a phrase meaning that, you're being a bit clumsy about things. Right, so he's not doing this dance well, and this could be perceived as the dance of life, as we were talking about having a bunch of bad habits that he's not able to break. But he's doing a waltz at an odd tempo. Can you imagine trying to do a dance that is built around a pulse of 3 in 5/4, 7/8, 13/8? I really like that idea. It brings the musical metaphor to the next level. Verse 2, he said, You gave me a heart and then taught me to hurt. I can't tell which option is worse, dying pure or aware. So he says, you let me care about things and then taught me the pain about caring about things. Is it better to be blissfully ignorant about everything or to know all of the dangers and damages of the world? Is it better to have loved and lost or not to have loved at all and stuck with the ignorance of that? He says, so these feet keep on tripping in triplets to beats too far off for my ears to hear, just a hint of timing. And I really like that too, because we're going to continue this dancing metaphor, right? But he says that the beat is just a hair too far away from what he can hear. So he's trying to dance to something, but he's responding to it too late. Just a hint of timing. Things are just always behind the beat. Always one step behind if we want to keep with this foot analogy going on here. Feels like he's always trying to play catch up, is what this is trying to say here. The chorus states, Am I stuck at the ankle or caught at the knee? A curious puzzle still cursing me to follow or lead. Once again, just kind of being confused about things. What am I doing? How am I supposed to overcome this? What even is the problem? My life is just a puzzle. That's a curse. I'm trying to figure this out and I'm not getting any steps closer. And the end of the track states, I don't know where I'm going because I can't see the road, but it's winding. Just as long as I keep breathing, I've got this uncomfortable feeling. Heavy feet, shaky hands, troubled heart. Life is a big uncertainty and it weighs heavily on this person. They try to get ahead and they can't for multitudes of reasons. They even wonder at times if they should try at all. Interesting song to pair with music like this. Music that compositionally is beautiful, but production-wise has been twisted and distorted a little bit. Music that is not consistently in time with itself, which is a pretty cool thing to pop up here. I'm curious then, musically at the end, I mentioned that the music box, which was originally out of time with the music in that first verse, during this outro, is in line with the music on a larger level than tempo. It fits artistically, not rhythmically. Is this supposed to imply that this narrator eventually figures out how to fit into the world? without changing too much of themselves. I don't know. I'm still kind of curious about the hazy, treble heavy, compressed sound that generally is present on this track and what that might supposed to represent. But as usual, Deer Hunter has me intrigued. These are just my thoughts, though, on Tripping in Triplets from the Deer Hunter. What do you think about this song? Is there anything that stood out to you? Anything that you'd like to add on to what I said or correct me on? Maybe you have your own interpretation or opinion, perspective about. Please put all of that and any other thoughts you have down into the comment section. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. Takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.